good evening, good evening, everyone. How are you out there in Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube land? Thank you all for joining us on tonight. Welcome to Let's Talk Grief. I am your host, Lakecia, and this is the City of Hearts, where we just dive deep into real conversations, explore raw emotions, and have honest discussions. So brace yourselves because it get real when we discuss the journeys of love, loss, coping, and resilience. So tonight I have a special guest with us, and I am so excited to speak with this phenomenal, amazing woman. We have Miss Tracy Wilson, and Miss Tracy Wilson is the daughter of Alanda and Cleo Wilson. She was born in Jersey. She's a Jersey girl, y'all, but she has resided in Georgia for 26 years. Tracy is also the mother of her two cherished sons, Taekwon and Terrell Wilson. Tracy is the founder of TNT Foundation, and it deals with the matters of the heart and mind. Tracy is also a two-time published author with two more projects in the making. And Tracy is also an event coordinator for events in multiple states such as Georgia, California, New Jersey, and Minnesota. And let's not forget, Tracy is Prince's number one fan, okay? Tracy is an activist for the LGBTQIA community. And last but certainly not least, she is a bold child of God. So I would like to introduce to you all Miss Tracy Wilson. Hello,
Hello, hello, hello.
Tracy.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm well. How are you tonight?
I am fantastic. I'm fantastic. Thank you for having
Awesome.
me on your show.
You're welcome. And thank you for coming. We really appreciate you. And so I just want the world to know you from your point of view. I know I read all the bio and the little fancy bells and whistles, but I want the world to know Tracy. So my first question to you before you introduce yourself to the world, why don't you just go on and tell us how you became a Georgia peach from being a Jersey girl?
Oh wait, I'm still a Jersey girl by way of by living in Georgia. So in 1998, um, I used to work for the World Trade Center. So to give you
Okay.
the story, how I wound up in Georgia, I came here one time on vacation, I think in '97, and I said if I ever move, I'm going to move to Georgia, right? And so in 1998, I used to work for the World Trade Center. I was on my way to take my 2-year-old son to school. And this
Mhm.
drug dealer approached me and my baby, and he said, "What do you need?" What do you mean? What do I need? I'm here with my baby. I'm taking my baby to school, and I don't even do drugs, right? And he said, "You'll be surprised how many people look just like you on their way to work need their morning fix." And that did it for me. I was done.
Girl,
I was done. I was done. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I called my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm out. I can't do this no more." I packed up all that I could. 19-inch TV, that's what they was back then. Boxed it in the
yeah.
box. Bought 3 one-way tickets to Georgia. I only knew one person down here. One person. Didn't have a driver's license. Didn't know what I was going to do. I knew that I was coming to Georgia, and that was it. And I wanted to give Taekwon and Terrell a better life. So, like I said,
Talking about a risk taker.
and never looked back. Only went Jersey to visit, but I've been in Georgia 26 years. But I got on that plane, and my father said, "Once you get on that plane, don't you look back." And I never went back to Jersey from
Wow.
1998 until now, 2024. I've been in Georgia.
That's amazing. That is a definitely a risk taker. With two children,
4 and 6, 4 and 6.
two small children, two babies.
Small children, 4 and 6.
Wow.
And I boxed their 19-inch TV in a box. I gave the guy at the airport $20 and said, "Can you please put this on the plane because this is all I have for my babies." And back then it was the Teletubbies or whatever, Barney, all of that.
Mhm.
So I needed them to occupy them. And he put it on the plane. And within a week. I had a job. I had daycare lined up for them, and I knew that I couldn't go back to Georgia. I mean Jersey. I couldn't go back. I had to. I knew my purpose was going to be here in Georgia. So
It was aligned.
I
It
stayed.
was aligned.
I stayed. I didn't know. I knew
Yeah.
one person. When I say one person, I knew one person. No family members. Everybody was up north. One person. No
That's
license.
a testimony in itself. That that's alignment. You
Hmm.
knew one person.
One
You were
person.
able to take both of your small children, your TV, and make a life.
And make a
That's a
life.
testimony in itself.
And make a life. Make a
You
life.
just constantly amaze me. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my God. So let's talk about Taekwon. Let's talk about your baby, Taekwon. Before
Taquan is
we
the
go there,
oldest. He's the oldest. Terrell is the baby.
Terrell is the baby and Taekwon is the oldest.
Yes.
Okay. So
So
for our viewers who doesn't know, Tracy has lost both of her children, both of her sons. Um, and to see my sister sitting here and standing in power the way that she does, I'm at awe. I'm just at awe. But let's talk about the baby first. Let's talk about Terrell. Terrell is the baby, correct?
Terrell is the baby. Both of them was my twin because I couldn't deny either one of them because they look just like
Well, I seen the pictures and they both look like your twins, like
they look like
identical.
twins.
Yes,
Terrell was 14 years old. He was a freshman in Collins Hill High School, and he passed away from an aorta dissection. He died in my arms. So you want me to tell the story?
yes.
Okay.
If you don't mind, if you would share
I
your
don't have a
story,
problem sharing because I hope that I can help somebody through something.
absolutely.
So he was a offensive lineman on the football team. He was a freshman. He was little guy, but he loved sports. And this particular night, it was always the three of us, or it was two of us. One was either at their friend house, and it was me and the other, or all three of us, or me by myself, and they were at their friend's house. This particular night, it was Taekwon was at his best friend's house, and Terrell and I were home. And so he went through this series of being sick. He came in my room and he said, "Mom, I'm thirsty." Right. And I was like, okay. So he took a Sprite and he drunk it like it was water. So, you can't drink soda, take it,
Yes,
take it to the head like that. So that was my first something was wrong. And then he was like, "I'm thirsty. Give me some more. Give me some more." And I was like, "No, we're not drinking all this soda. We're not, what's going on? Talk to me. Tell me what's wrong." So Terrell was the kind of child that if he was hurt, he didn't want me to see it because I'm his mother. So he didn't want me to, they always had a way of wanting to protect me from when they were.
protect you. Right.
So he went in the bathroom and he closed off all the doors. And so I can hear him, but I couldn't see him. So then my motherly instincts just kicked in and I sat on the edge of the bed and I heard this loud thump. I jump up, I go in the bathroom, and he hits his face on the side of the sink, right? And I grab him because I saw that. And I asked him, I said, "Terrell, what's wrong? Talk to me." He says, "Mommy, I'm okay." I said, "Terrell, you're not okay." He said, "Mommy, I'm okay." So he kept saying that. So I called 911 because he's going in and out of consciousness, but he's holding on to my voice because he keeps responding to me. So I called 911. They go through a series of questions. I don't at this point, at that time, I didn't know CPR. I do now. I'm a CPR trained instructor now, but I didn't
Yeah.
know what to do back then. So as a mom, I felt powerless because I couldn't help my child. And so he's going through all these different stages and he's in and out of consciousness. And then he finally loses consciousness and his chest blows up like a balloon, like it inflates. And I'm talking to the dispatcher and I'm telling her that I see his flate. And she's like, "What is he doing?" I said, "He's not doing anything. His chest just expands." And at that time, the fire department comes in. They start working on him. But his last words to me was, "Mommy, I'm okay." Right. Um, in hindsight, he was telling me, "Mom,
He was
I'm good.
protecting you.
I'm okay." And
Yes.
so I remember getting in the ambulance and I see on the screen 14-year-old boy, cold blue, right?
Mm, my God.
And it doesn't hit me. And I call Jersey, I call Danielle, and I read to her the screen, and she screams. So I'm like, I can't deal with the screaming. Like, I'm reading to you what's going on, but she knew, but I'm trying to be like I'm talking to you now. That's how calm I was, right? And then I hung up on her and I called my father.
So it hadn't registered to you.
It
It
hadn't
and
registered. I was completely numb. I just
mhm,
wanted to know what was going on with my son. And I called my dad. I read him the same thing. Cold blue, 14-year-old boy. My father says, let me call you back. Right. So by now I get to the hospital. The news is spread because in Lawrenceville, where we live at, it's a community, the football team, everybody, the neighbors, everybody's at the hospital. So they asked me, do I have any more children? I said, yes, I have another son, but please, now by now, they've already pronounced him dead. They've already come to tell me this. And it still hasn't hit. So they asked me, they say, do you have another son? And I say, yeah, I have another son. And I said, please don't tell him anything. Let him get to the hospital. So the cops go get Taekwon, and he comes to the hospital and he skims the room and he sees Andre, Dylan, Dalton. He sees all the guys, all the boys, but he
mhm,
doesn't see Terrell. And he looks at me and everybody's crying. Everybody's, and I'm straight face, like poker face, no emotions, no nothing. And my neighbor looks at me and he says, you have to tell Taekwon. We can't tell him anything. You have to tell Taekwon what's going on. So I'm not telling him anything. I'm not saying anything to. Now, at the time, Taekwon was 16, Terrell was 14.
mhm.
So Taekwon says, Mom, where's Terrell? And I lose it. Now I lose it because now I can't hide
Reality is
that
set
anymore.
in.
I can't. And I tell him his brother is gone. And he loses it. So we're at the hospital. I don't want to leave my baby because now I feel like I failed because there was nothing that I can do. So the aorta is the main artery to the heart. It goes from your heart to your stomach. And if you're not
Mhm,
looking for it on a monitor, you won't find it. You have to be actually looking for the aorta valve in order. So I
yes.
never knew that he had any heart problems. I never knew that he had any issues. I never knew any of that. And here I am. It's me, Taekwon, and Terrell. I'm single. Fathers are not in their lives. And what am I do? And I never got angry with God. Sometimes we
Mm,
lose people, and I'm angry when you took my husband, you took my wife, you took my mom, my dad. I remember sitting at that hospital and said, "Okay, God, what now? What is this? Because I don't know what to do with this."
yes.
They prescribed all these drugs for me. Never took anything. Never took any antidepressants. I had to continue because I had a 16-year-old that I had to watch over. So my grief I had to put on the back burner because I had to get this 16-year-old who just lost his brother. Now the backstory with that: the day before Terrell passed away, Taekwon and Terrell had an argument. Brother and
Yes.
sister. I mean, brothers arguing. And
Yes.
Taekwon said,
Tracy, let me put a pin in it right there.
"Okay,
Um, I'm emotional, so I want to give a
okay,
disclaimer.
okay."
Um,
You make me mess up my
this,
makeup, honey.
oh, I told you leave that makeup off anyway.
I ain't got that
I
much on.
told
I just had to cover up some.
But yes, I just want to give a disclaimer because this is a sensitive topic, and everyone can't emotionally and mentally handle it. So if you feel like it's too much, please click off. We understand
We
your
understand.
mental health is most important, but this is dialogue that is needed. This is dialogue that is, oh,
Yeah, yeah. You okay?
I'm okay. Are
It's
you
okay.
okay?
I'm okay. The more there was a time when I couldn't talk about it. And so now it's part of the healing that I can talk about it, because
Yes.
through this, you never know what who I'm helping through their own grief, through their own process. You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay. I'm okay.
I love you, my sis.
I love you
All
too.
right. So we can pick back up wherever you.
Okay. So the night before Terrell died, Taekwon and Terrell had an argument. And Taekwon said, I wish I was the only child and I hope you die. And the next day, Terrell died. So my baby carried that. My 16-year-old carried that guilt because he thought his words killed his brother.
My God.
So that was painful to watch, to watch him go through that, you know. That was a very difficult time in my life. My father was the go-to for all of us. He was granddaddy, but he was everybody's dad, everybody's man, you know. And I needed help because there was no man in my life. There is no man in my life. I was a single lesbian mother, so let's put that out there. There was no man. My father was the man for me, you know. So I said, Daddy, I need some help. I can't do this. And
Yes.
Daddy said, I got you. And he just started talking to Taekwon and trying to help him through. And my nephews, you know, everybody, my nephews and them came and they stayed down here with me for about a month just to kind of just kind of encourage Taekwon.
Yes.
And it just spiraled for a minute with Taekwon. He dropped out of school. He went to Job Corps. I'm sending him care. This is kind of funny though, because I sent him care packages. He down in Job Corps selling the care packages that I'm sending to him. You know, he trying to make his own little money down there. You know,
Oh,
um,
yeah, I was a hustler.
he was just hustling, trying to do his thing. Obviously, he giving me the sad stories like, Mom, I don't like the food down here, you know, and I'm sending him boxes and boxes of his favorite stuff, and he out there selling this stuff, you know. So that was a really trying time to find a new normal just for Taekwon and I.
Hmm.
It was very challenging from the ages of 16 to maybe 21. So when he turned 21, he thought he was grown, went out on his own, you know.
Hmm.
He handsome and gorgeous, and girls is all, you know, just don't bring me no babies home, don't do none of that craziness, you know.
Yes.
He struggled a minute, but he maintained, so I thought, you know. There
Mhm.
was, and when we get into Taekwon, we'll talk about his journey as well.
Yes.
So he went on his own, and I I in 2008 I started the Terrell Wilson Foundation, right? So
Hmm.
because I needed to educate myself on heart awareness through the American Heart Association. When I say I started it by myself, I was a one woman person. I did all my bylaws, all my articles of incorporation by myself. I did the research, did the website. I did it all because I had to save another child's life. I did not want another
Yes.
mother to go through 14 years not knowing that your son had a heart condition, not knowing that there were any issues because he was a healthy child. Terrell was perfect. You know, he was never really sick. And if he got sick, it was 2 or 3 days and it was, you know, so that was my mission.
Mhm.
Um, and I was fighting to get bills passed when they play sports in Georgia, that instead of just having them run in place and touch your toes, oh, you're okay to play. Go deeper, do an EKG on their heart,
Yes.
echocardiogram, so we can see what's going on. So if there's an issue or a heart defect, that mom or that dad or those parents together can work through it and figure out what the next steps is. And that never happened. But we're gonna fast forward because
Yes.
eventually, but I had to do something, and I had to keep Terrell's
Name
legacy.
alive.
I had to
Yes.
forever speak his name, and so I got CPR trained. I'm a CPR instructor. I was doing CPR classes. I kept Taekwon in that because I wanted him to be a part of the legacy, because this was the legacy that I was building for him. And he was like, Mom, no, this your journey. I can't, I don't want to. I was like, no, because you need to know how to do this too. You need to speak on it because this is your brother. So you need to, so he finally got a hold to it and kind of wanted to know certain things and started going to the CPR classes with me. He also did I made sure that he was CPR trained as well. So he did know how to do CPR. So yeah, that's Terrell's story.
Whew, sis. So with the A order, can you, the
A order, the A
A
order.
order
Mm-hmm.
dissection,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's literally something that they have to look for. So he showed no signs up until that point
No sign.
of
So
any.
prior to him passing away in June
Mhm,
of 2007, I took him to the hospital because he was complaining of chest pains, and they ruled it as a panic attack.
mhm,
In my mind, what 14-year-old has panic attacks? He's in a stable environment. There's nothing going on in his life. So what caused them to say it was a panic attack, right? So those same symptoms he had in September, they were more intense at that point. So had they done an EKG on him in September or an echocardiogram, they would have saw the abnormality in his
in
aorta.
his heart.
Um,
Yes,
so his symptoms in September were a little bit more intensified than in June. So this is 3 months later that we're going through the same thing. And I didn't want to take him to that same hospital because I was like, so in my mind, I don't want to go to that hospital. I don't want to put their name out there, but I don't want to go to that hospital. I
mhm,
don't want to do none of that. But they took him to the hospital because he was already gone in the house. They were doing the formalities to try to save him, to try to revive him in the house, in the ambulance, to the hospital.
yes,
But he literally died in the house, in my arms. You know what I'm saying? So um that was my driving force. Like, I don't want another parent to do that. I don't want another parent to
absolutely,
feel like they're powerless. They can't do anything to save their child. You know what I mean? So that
absolutely.
was how the Terrell Wilson Foundation was birthed, because of him.
That's amazing. That's just amazing how instead of sitting in your grief, you thought of others
Mm-hmm.
in the process,
Mm-hmm.
and you started to put a plan into place to save others.
Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you and thank you for that because that's phenomenal. I want to go to Taekwondo,
Mm-hmm.
but I need some tissue.
Go and get you some tissue,
I
girl.
need some tissue
Go and get
because
you some tissue.
Lord,
The Taekwondo story is a little bit more intense.
you
So the disclaimer with Taekwondo is a little bit more intense.
okay. So we will definitely do that before we get started. But you do not look like what you've been through. When
Thank
I say ain't nothing about your black crack,
That's
you
what
are
52 look like.
beautiful, sis.
52. Thank you.
Yes,
Well, 25
52.
plus shipping and handling, honey. That's
Oh,
what it is.
okay. House
Okay.
52. No,
Yes.
ma'am.
52. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Um, okay. So Taekwon is he the Gemini?
He is the Gemini.
He's the Gemini.
So let me tell you, Capricorn, Gemini, and Aquarius. Baby.
Ooh.
All of that in one house. So that was what I'm Capricorn, Terrell was the Aquarius, and Taekwon was the Gemini. So
Oh, I
yeah.
get it because I got a Aquarius and a Cancer, and here I come trying to be the Libra.
Right. See, there you go. There you go.
Yes, so I get it. But so Taekwon was your Gemini,
My Gemini.
and he was the oldest, correct?
He was my oldest. He
And
was the
he was
one
your
with me.
identical twin.
He was the one with me the longest. Yes.
Yes.
Taekwon was 27 when he passed away.
Okay.
So,
So let's drop this disclaimer because I don't want to
yeah,
interrupt you. I wanted
yeah.
to let it flow. But this is a touchy,
Hmm.
intense
This
topic.
one is touchy.
Um,
This one is touchy.
so if you have any type of mental health battles, I advise you to go ahead and log off. Especially if you're not in a place where you can cope effectively.
Hmm.
I don't think this part of the conversation will be for you, and we completely understand if you have to log off, take a break, whatever. But your mental health is important. So we're gonna continue on wherever you would like to start, sis.
So let's fast forward to 2018. So I had to have a full hysterectomy in 2018, which had to lead Taekwon to come back home. So now the child has to take care of the mom.
Hmm.
So I have to give you the whole story. So everybody who knows me knows that I'm a big Prince fan, right? So there was this
Yes.
little boy, hence the purple nails, you know what I mean? There was this little boy named Caden that was all over Facebook, right? He's singing all kinds of Prince songs, and you know, Prince got all kinds of music. And I kept
Yes.
seeing this little boy, and I was like, why is this little boy singing these songs, right? But I was like, okay. So I inboxed his mom and I was like, you know, has he ever been, now this is like right after I had my hysterectomy, so I'm kind of loopy, but I'm on bed rest because I had a full hysterectomy, but so I'm bored. So Facebook was my go-to thing.
Hmm.
I see the little boy and I just fell in love with him because I was like, this little boy is so cute and he's so, you know, like, but he shouldn't be singing some of these songs. So I inboxed his mother and I asked, well, you know, with him being a Prince fan, well, so Caden's story is Caden was diagnosed with brain cancer when he was 3. They
Okay.
gave him until he was 8 to live, but Caden will be 16. Look at God, October 28th this year, right? So at the
Yes.
time, Caden was 10, and he's singing all these Prince songs, and he's got the Purple family. He got the whole Purple family in the uproar because this little baby is taking us by storm. And so I
Yes.
inbox his mom and I say, you know, have you ever taken him to Minnesota, which is where Prince is from? You know, and she was like, no, because um, when he was diagnosed, Make a Wish sent him to Florida, Disney World, right? I was like, okay. So I remember writing his name on a piece of paper and I went to sleep. And when I woke up, God gave me the vision, Caden's Big Adventure. This is 2018 leading up to Taekwondo.
Okay.
So Caden's Big Adventure. So I put it out there to the Purple family. Why not raise money to send him, his twin brother, his mother and father to Minnesota? So from my bed, I raised $7,000 to send his mother, his twin brother, and his father to Minnesota. Right? I put it together. I was the visionary, put it out there. We got in touch with everybody in Minnesota. We did everything. $7,000 for somebody that I've never met.
Wow.
Right? So fast forward.
That
This is
heart is big.
it's to this day people still talk about that, like, and so when I get into what happened, you'll be like, wow, you still saw that through. So that was July of 2018. So from July of 2018 to April of 2019, we were working on putting together a big thing for Caden. So Taekwon, leading up to the trip, Taekwon said, mom, when you get to Minnesota, I want you to FaceTime me because I want to meet the little boy that I'm sharing my mom with. And I was like, okay. And I thought he was feeling bad. And he was like, no, I'm not fit. He said, I'm so proud of you. He said, all these purple people in this community, you're the one who put this together. So own it, like, and I'm so like, no, I don't want to own. No, you own it. This is what my child is saying to the mom. You own this because this was you.
Yes.
So April 8th, Taekwon had a some kind of breakdown. This is what happened April 8th. He had a breakdown. He went to the hospital. His job called me and said, Taekwon's going through a series of things and we don't know what's wrong. Would you be mad at us if we sent him to the hospital? I said, I would be pissed if you didn't, because I was at work, so I couldn't get to him. So I said, I would be pissed if you didn't. So he didn't want to go to the hospital because he was grown and I don't want to go. So in Georgia, it's called the 1013. So he became a product of the state. So they sent him to a mental hospital because that's the kind of break he had. And that was the 8th of April. They released him on the 12th on 4 different antidepressants. 4 days. That's not enough time to, if the medicine is working, if this, that, fourth, and the third. And that was the 12th. And then on the 16th, he died. So my son was hit by a train. And 24 hours had passed before I knew he was gone. But again, when I talk about the motherly instincts. So the night he died, that Tuesday, the 16th, I didn't find out till the 17th, but I had a dream about him the night that he had already passed away. And in the dream, my sister, I was in Minnesota, and my sister called me and she said, you need to get back to Georgia. This is in the dream. There's something going on with Taekwon. And I was like, I'm here in Minnesota with Kaden, whatever. She was like, no, I need you to get back to Georgia now. Mm-hmm. So in the dream, when I touched ground in Georgia, Taekwon died in my dream. And I jumped up out of my sleep and I realized that he wasn't home. So I said, I didn't panic because, he worked, they were doing doubles. And a lot of times when they did doubles, he just stayed with his best friend and, Mm-hmm. So sis, I went to work the next day and I had just got promoted to assistant manager and he was supposed to start at the store that I had just got transferred from that Saturday. So the manager had said, tell Taekwon he can start at this store Saturday. So I'm texting him, but he's not responding. So I'm sitting in the office and it was like my heart just would not slow down. And I said, I got to go find my child because it's not like him not to respond to any of my messages. And so I went looking for him. I called all his friends. I called all the little girl, the main one, this one, that one. I called all of them, went next door. And I used to live in this city called Statham. And it reminds me of Walnut Grove, from Little House on the Prairie, where the police station is here, the little town store. That's how small Statham was. Wow. So I call the cops and I say, this is Tracy Wilson. I'm looking for my son. My son just got out of the hospital. He was on all this medication. He's not answering my phone. They had already knew he was gone. I guess my picture or something came up and Taekwon had a tattoo of my name across his chest. So the only thing he had on him was, of course, my name and his debit card. So I guess when they ran his blood, my information came up. So the dispatcher says, someone's on the way to come talk to you. They'll be there shortly. And I'm like, well, what is somebody coming? It's not registering anything. Mm-hmm. So Officer Davis comes to my house with a pastor. And I opened the door and everybody knew who Officer Davis was. Because like I said, Statham was small. I said, Officer Davis, what are you doing here? And he said, it's about Taekwon. So in my head, oh Lord, Taekwon got locked up. Let me go get some money so I can get him out. He said, Tracy, there's been an accident. Taekwon was hit by a train yesterday. And I stood there and I said, not again. And the pastor said, wait a minute, what do you mean not again? And Officer Davis said, she's lost her other son in 2007. So Taekwon was diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia. And again, this is a sensitive topic. And if you can't handle it, we understand, but I have to speak the truth.
Yes.
He was diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenia, which I had no idea, right? So when he went to the hospital, in his own words, so I have to speak to the suicide piece of it because that's a piece of it. Um,
Absolutely.
in his own words, he said, "The voices in my head told me to drown myself, but my mother was in the other room asleep, and I did not want her to find me that way." So he had a plan. So I wrestled with that because that was my son. So no, we don't do weakness. We don't do none of that. But he carried his brother's death, and then going through stuff with girls, with possible babies, not having babies, this that, um, re, resenting me for a while because um that I kept his dad from him, and I didn't. His dad just chose not to be a part of his life.
Right.
Um, but to read that because most time when people uh, uh, commit suicide, they're not thinking about nobody else. They're thinking about the getting rid of the pain and going through that pain. But for my child to consider me while he was going through those thoughts in his head, my mother was in the other room asleep, and I did not want her to find me that way.
He was still protecting you.
He was
And I just
protecting
have
me.
to applaud you for being able to speak about the suicide of it because a lot of people cannot accept that.
Yeah.
They will accept anything but that. And
Right.
I'm trying to mind my words on that because
No,
we
no,
are
no. It's okay
on social
because
media, but
yeah,
for
yeah.
you
But
to
speak it. You
us
have to, in order
yes,
for me to heal, I have to speak it because that's a part of the journey that I did not want to talk about.
yes.
But because of the direction the foundation is going in, because I had to revamp it again. I had to go
Mhm.
over again, but I had to heal first. And I had to come to the place of acceptance that my child had a plan. Now I can't tell you that he walked on that train track this morning because my son was a walker. He was
Mhm.
athletic. He walked all the time. He had beats on his ears, right? But where we lived, if the train went by, the house shook, so you can feel the vibration.
Mhm.
So I don't know what his thoughts were in those moments. I don't know. I feel like 4 antidepressants is a bit much for different types of so it's a combination of both. Um, but I wrestled with the suicide piece of it because I
Yeah.
always that 15% of me was like, did he just say I'm done?
And I
Did he
can
just,
relate. Um, my brother did not commit suicide, but
mm-hmm,
he had a mental break.
mm-hmm,
Um, he also had a mental break, and although he didn't physically do it himself, um, it's still hard to accept because he wasn't in his right mind.
no,
I wasn't there to tell you exactly what transpired, but I know the end result is my brother's not here.
right.
And he went for help. He went to seek help. And in my opinion, they failed him.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. So here we are. It's April. I just lost the last part of my pie, my oldest child. And so for those first couple of days, mind you, I've got a big event in Minnesota with this little boy, right? And my son just dies 5 days before I'm scheduled to leave on the 21st to go do this. The trains were going by, they were paralyzing me to the point where we had to turn the music on. At one point, somebody put my head under the water because I was freaking out because the trains were too loud and it was, and even now, my brother would say, I have lived by this train station for years. And the sound of the train irritates me now. And I told him because there's an association with the train now. So your senses are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And even now to this day, sometimes when the horn goes by, I kind of cringe, right?
It's
So here I
traumatic.
am. My dad was still in my dad at the time is ooh, 80 or 82. 80, no, 86, right? So
Okay.
he's on the phone and I'm the baby. So they don't play about me because I'm the baby, right? And he got on the phone with somebody and he said, take care of my daughter until I get there. And they were like, we got her, no problem, this, that, fourth, and the third. So I couldn't go. I didn't want to go to Minnesota. By now, everybody, it's all over Facebook. Everybody's like, oh God, people stepping in, what you need me to do. Caden, who
Mm,
calls me his best friend, is really upset, but he understands that, I just lost Taekwon. So this is how God stepped in and my
yes.
child. So I'm sitting on the edge of the bed and I'm crying because I don't want to go. I can't leave my son. I can't do anything.
Right.
And the funeral parlor calls me and they say, Miss Wilson, we have your son. You won't be able to see him until Tuesday, which is like the 22nd or something like that. And I was like, why? Today is Wednesday or today is Thursday, whatever. And it was like, he's in the deconstruction phases and you can't see your son. So, backstory, my very close friend, who is Taekwon's mentor, Dr. Danny Harris, was a former police officer and instructed whoever, do not show me any crime scene pictures, do not show me anything that had anything to do with Taekwon, right? And so I wanted to see everything. And they were like, no, we can't. We were instructed by your brother, because he called me we were instructed by your brother not to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, um, but I had a hater. I got to say this. So there was a hater that was working at the store that I worked at. And I walked in the store and she said, did you know that the Godiva dogs had to be bought in because they had to find pieces of his body? Here I am, his mother, and I did not know that. And this woman is telling me what is being done about my child. So I said, you do know that I watch enough crime scene shows to know what a Godiva dog does and what they do. And you're sitting here telling me to my face that dogs were looking for parts of my son's body. At that moment, all the sameness went away, but I couldn't. I was ready to, the jersey had come out by then because how dare you? So my
The
associates,
audacity.
my associates were like, you got to be the dumbest person on the planet to tell this woman that. And if she hits you, you earned that hit. But I could not do it. I was like, okay. So to this day, I have not spoken to this woman, and I see her often. Um, you know, and so I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and now I can't see my son till Tuesday. I'm upset because I don't want to leave my baby here. And I heard Taekwon say, you got to see it through, mom. You got to see it through. And I had a full-fledged conversation with my child in the spirit. Like, no, I can't do it, Taekwon. Mom, you have to see it through. And then something happened and I heard God say the same thing. So I said, okay. So nobody knew that I was flying to Minnesota. I flew to Minnesota on the day that I was supposed to fly on to Minnesota on the 21st. And I went live from the airport. And I had over 1,000 views because they were like, I can't believe that you are here and you just lost your son. But I needed that. I needed that moment. And I needed to see this little boy. I needed to hug this little boy. I needed him to see me and know that he was loved from somebody that he never met. So for those 2 days that I was in Minnesota, I had the best time that I can possibly have in those moments,
in
right?
those moments.
In those moments. And Caden was all over the news. People knew who I was because they're hearing the story. News reporters were coming up to me like, how are you here? And um, the staff at Paisley Park were like, whoa, and if Prince was living, oh, he would have wanted to meet you. And, because that would have been something and I was like, I'm not doing it for none of this. I'm doing this because God gave me the vision for this little boy. And I'm trying to see this vision through in the midst. So I created a whole nother family with this family who drove all the way from Pittsburgh to my son's funeral. They drove we are strangers we met days, 8 days, and the whole family got in their car and drove down to Taekwon's funeral. That's love. That's love. To this day, he and his mother and I are still very close. The boys their twins are going to be 16 this year. And I had to do it.
The strength of a mother, but you don't know your strength until that's all you got. You don't, you can't even put word. That's so beyond the physical. That's spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And your son was letting you know in the process, I'm still with you, Mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm still with you.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Even
was
in the
also protecting your mind
yeah.
in the midst of that because he knew you needed that release.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 days that you spent with Caden gave you a slight release.
That's
Because
right.
if you had sat at home, Tracy,
Yeah.
we may not have this Tracy we have now.
Yeah. And here I am again. The doctors have
Girl.
given me every drug known to man. And when I say I'm doing this cold turkey, I have never been on any antidepressants. I have never turned to drugs. I have never turned to when I say cold turkey, like God has kept my mind, God has kept me through the midst of it. And I got a support system that's out of this world. I got people that I can call when I'm having those moments. And so then after I bury him, I have to go into CEO mode. So now I got to revamp because now I got to pull in my other son.
Yes.
So I changed it from the Terrell Wilson Foundation to the TNT Wilson Foundation, Terrell and Taekwon Wilson Foundation. And we deal with matters of the heart and the mind. Because I can speak to both. I can speak to the heart. I can speak to the mental health piece of it because there's so many spectrums to mental health, and my next goal is to get a bill passed when someone has a break and they go to the hospital, that they keep them in the hospital for at least 14 days just to regulate the medicine, just to see if, okay, well, if this not working, we're going to go to plan B. We're going to go, that has been my life mission because I will forever speak their names because, those were my babies. Those were my, my world, my world. So now here I am, a new normal again by myself, a new normal. It's just me. And
man. So you're working on the bill for Taekwon, correct?
yes. But
But
guess
you
what?
just recently had the bill to pass for Terrell.
Yes. So the HB 874 bill was just passed March 21st of
Yes.
2024. So we've been fighting that since 2008. And this bill will put AEDs in every school here in Georgia. And it's the defibrillators that need to be in the school, CPR instructors that need to be in all the schools. So it's not just in the high schools now, it's in the middle school, in the elementary school, the high schools, the college, in every school here in Georgia. So that bill was just passed March 21st. And March 11th, I was down at the state capitol with Governor Kemp, Matt Ryan, and another mother who's lost her son back in December from sudden cardiac arrest as well. But to
Yes.
see that bill pass knows that my work is not in vain. You
It's
know,
not in vain.
I'd rather have my son, but to keep his memory alive and know that I had a part to play in that was huge for me. That was probably one of the, bigger
Yes.
things,
So I saw the announcement, and I know I've congratulated you a million times, but I just want to say congratulations again,
Thank you.
because that is phenomenal
Thank
for
you.
you to, your drive is crazy. Like your drive is so inspiring.
Thank you.
It is so inspiring and motivating, you know. So I'm just honored to be able to have this moment to speak with you.
Mhm.
Um, Also, I know that you have some other things in the making. Would you care to speak on those?
Oh, child, I'm busy. um, in conjunction with collaborating with you on the love language of grief, um,
Yes.
my book When Pain Meets Power will be out in September. I pushed it to in honor of Terrell. We'll do it September since our book is coming out in June. That portion to be for Taekwon. So in
Mm-hmm.
September we'll do When Pain Meets Power in September in honor of Terrell. And then I also
Yeah.
my new show
Come
called
on.
Sister Vibes is actually on Black on Demand TV channel on Roku. The premiere is May 5th here in Atlanta. So are you coming? I know I sent you the invite, so I
Yes,
need you to pull
yes,
up. So I'm
yes.
super
I am
excited
working
about
on.
that.
Look, I think I'm gonna have to move to Atlanta.
Yeah,
Atlanta.
yeah, you do. And so Sister Vibes was I sent you the podcast on how it started. And
Mm-hmm.
Swan Simpson, she sought me out of everybody she could have thought of. She chose me to be the host of Sister Vibes. And Sister Vibes is about women like you and I who turned their pain into power, who are doing phenomenal things, working through their pain, got businesses, and so we just sit on the couch and we talk about their journey. And as a matter of
Yes.
fact, she's actually interviewing me Saturday, so I can tell my story leading up to to the premiere of the show. So
Yes.
I've been in addition to being a store manager at Dollar General. So yeah, I am CEO, author, manager, talk show host, fabulously 52. All of the above. But
Yes.
most importantly, I am a woman of God, and I trust
Well,
God
see,
for the
this
process.
is what standing on your story and not standing in your story looks like.
Mhm.
You are amazing, sis. And I call you little Oprah. Because come on, little Oprah, because
Mhm.
I just see amazing things. You're already doing amazing things, but it's more to come. Your light is brighter than I think you realize.
Mm.
Your light shines bright. Your energy is just it's captivating.
Thank you.
Um,
Don't make me cry, girl. Don't do that.
it is, and you're so inspiring. And you did gain because I don't have any biological sisters. Let me just put that out there.
Hey,
But you gained a little sister. So
I'll take it. 'Cause I'm the baby, so I'll take a little sister. I'll take a little.
yes, you gained a little sister. So I'm just at awe. that you have the strength and the courage to push through.
Mm.
You were able to tell your story. I think I've cried the whole time, but it's okay. It's okay. But I'm just grateful that people can hear your story and find the strength to um stand on their story and not stand in it,
That's it.
come out of it.
And there's
Um,
one more piece to this, if you don't mind.
Come on, talk about it.
So, a year and 3 months after losing Taekwon,
Mm,
I buried my father in 2020. Um, so, the three most important men in my life are gone. My father was 87 and he had pancreatic cancer. And he didn't tell anybody. And he faced death, the way he did. And I was the only one with him when he died. I literally had to usher him into heaven. Basically, my niece told me you heard the podcast, so I basically had to either sing him into heaven or pray him into heaven, and I didn't want to do either one, but I wound up having a conversation with him right before he passed away, and so to lose the three most important people in your life and to still be standing and to still encourage people, it's God. It's God's grace and mercy that keeps me going. Um, so I see your tears and I feel your pain because you and I have had this conversation. And no, it's okay. You know, there's a story behind your praise as well, um, and you're going to keep going and you're going to keep blessing people and stand in your truth and stand in your obedience and walk into your season because what you've done with the 10 of us um, is beyond powerful, is beyond measure to me. Um, because there are so many stages to grief, and a lot of people stay stuck on the first two, the anger, the denial. I am at the place of acceptance finally with Taekwon and Terrell, and I've come to the acceptant place with my dad, right? But then sometimes you circle back to the beginning,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
because I never got angry with God, not at all with my boys. The question was both times was what now? Like what am I supposed to do now? And
Yes.
every day I get up and I go to work and I'm alone, the closer I get to God. So when I
Mm,
say in this season of being alone, my faith has been restored. Um, it's just whew, it's hard to and I got to say it the way I hear it because I knew
say
God
it.
was going to go in this
Say
direction,
it.
but it's I could have gave up a long time ago. A lot of times, people when my father died, they thought that was it. That Tracy ain't gonna make it. Tracy gonna. But to our listeners and to the people out there, if I can do it, I buried a 14-year-old. He died in my arms. My son
Yeah.
was hit by a train. My father, I was in the room with my father. If I can get up and do it, you can do it too, you know, and feel what you need to feel. And don't ever feel bad about feeling. And this is for you too, sis. Don't ever feel bad. Don't ever let nobody make you feel like you're not supposed to feel what you need to feel because those are your feelings and they are valid. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, I can't feel this way, or you shouldn't be feeling this way after all this time. Um, my son died in 2007. It is 2024, and there are moments when it still feels like yesterday. And
Mm,
I'm gonna feel what I need to feel because before I'm anything, I'm their mother. I carry
Yes.
them in my stomach. So if I want to feel like I don't want to get out of bed, that's my I can do that. So
Yes.
to those listeners out there, don't ever let anybody make you feel some kind of way because of where you are in your grieving journey. That's your journey. And when you're ready, you go to the next level. You go to the next step. Um, and those people that say that, they don't need to even they don't even need to be in your circle, because your
Yes.
true circle, however you feeling, if you got to lay in your bed and with the blinds closed, okay, we're gonna let you sit there today, sis, but we coming for you tomorrow, or we coming for you, we gonna give you 2 days, but then we gonna come for you on that third day. Those are people that you need in your life. Everybody can't
Yes.
sit in your front row, and I learned that through this grieving journey. um this is what actual healing looks like, and wanting to heal. There's a difference, because people
Yes.
say they want to heal, but they're not doing the proper work to heal. You know, they may not be ready to heal. They may be stuck in where they are, and that's okay. But
Yes.
I needed to heal because I have too much to do. I can't
Yes.
go talk to the community if I'm still stuck at stage one, you know? Um, we can't do what we're doing now because if we're stuck, you know. So I wanted to heal. I wanted to get the help that I needed, because I have so much love to give, and I
Absolutely.
can't love while in the broken stages. I gotta love in the healed stages, because the healed version of Tracy, whew, man.
Yes. Yes, indeed, sis. I love that you spoke on that. For me, um, I've had a series of back to back to back to back to back to back deaths within the last 4 years.
Mhm.
And I haven't had the time to grieve.
Mm.
And now I'm in a stage where I have to start my healing journey. And it's just me now.
Mhm.
Kids grown.
I think she having technical difficulties over there, but I'm still here. Uh, Hopefully everything is okay. Hope you guys can still hear us. Know that we are still here. She's might have some technical difficulties. Follow her on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. This will be live on her page as well as mine on my YouTube channel, Talking with Tracy. So I don't know what happened. It still says I'm on the show, so I'm gonna keep talking until she come back. I don't know if you guys gonna see that. You know, I don't want to just end it and oh, you can still hear me. Okay, so this that impromptu thing. So if you have any questions, I am Tracy Wilson on Facebook. You can message me. We're friends on Facebook. So I think she's having some problems, so stay tuned. Thank you for being on the show with us today. We appreciate you guys so much. um, it was interesting. I don't like being this vulnerable, but I have to, you know in this journey. So, and thank you for all the people that said things. I see the comments. I just have to go back and respond. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. So I think she's just having problems. I think she might have kicked the cord out of her thing. Here she go. See, I was like,
The
this stay
devil thought
tuned.
he had.
I kept going.
Thank you, sis, because the devil thought he had it. He tried it.
Did.
He really
I
tried
think
it.
he
It's
tried.
okay.
He
It's
tried.
okay.
He tried.
So, I'm just at a place now in my life where God is working on me.
Mm,
Finally, I have finally gotten to the place where kids are grown, moving on. Granddaddy's gone. I just buried my grandfather, and that's what touched me when you said you had to usher your father into his transition, because I
mm,
too sat here 10 days with my grandfather as he transitioned from the physical
Mhm.
realm to the spiritual realm.
Mhm.
Physically, watching it was torture, but the
Mhm.
spiritual aspect of it left me in awe. So, and that's fresh for me. So,
Yeah.
and he was
But
my guy.
I
That
told
was
you this before that God will meet you where you are. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? So,
yes.
um, you had to go through those 10 days to see it from the spiritual realm as well as the physical realm. So,
Mhm,
and the saying goes, God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. So you were that
mhm.
soldier in that moment that had to be there
Yes,
for your grandfather, you know?
yes.
So
Absolutely.
that's it's crazy how things work that way, but it was meant for you in that moment. Like for me with my dad, he saw everybody. He went in the hospital June 28th and he died July 24th. And I was the
Mhm.
last person. So to me, my father waited for me before
Yes.
he needed to put his eyes on me. He needed to have 2 or 3 conversations with me because he would come out of, and then he asked me a question and he'll go back to sleep. And so to have that moment with my dad,
Mhm.
and like when I say daddy's little girl to the heart.
Oh,
So
yes.
it was meant for me and my father to spend those last moments. And my words to him, and I will say that. Um, I said, you don't have to worry about me anymore. I know you worried because of the boys not with me, but I'm okay. And I sat down and I was on my phone. And after I said that to him, it was like 10 minutes later, he was gone, you know?
Wow.
You know, so sometimes, God will meet you where you are, and you were where you
Absolutely.
were supposed to be at that moment with your grandfather. And
Absolutely.
I got you, little sis. So if you need to
Mhm.
talk, you need to, you told me, you listened to the other podcast that I did, and it helped you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's, that's what all of this is about. To
I
how
was
do we
able
help?
to write a letter of forgiveness by listening to that, and I have been stuck in that for some years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
just by listening to that podcast, in that moment, I was released
Yeah.
and I was able to write that letter
Hmm.
and I released it into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that I can talk about it and not feel that anger
Hmm.
arise. So yes, thank you so much for sharing that with me. Um, you also inspired me to do something else with this show. Um, I would like to start giving people their flowers while they're still here. So at the end of each show from here on out, we will give their flowers. I will have the guests to give someone, whoever they pick, their flowers while they're still here. And so, sis, it's on you tonight.
Who do I want to give flowers to?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to give my flowers to you
Oh.
because we haven't met face to face, but I feel like we've known each other forever, right?
Yes.
And your vision is amazing. Um, your platform is what needs to happen, and you're taking it takes courage to be this vulnerable where we are right now, right? And so you get all the pink flowers because I love pink flowers. You get the pink flowers, the pink roses, and the purple roses because the vision, and it's not going to stop there because I told you where it's going next. I'm gonna keep that to
Yeah.
myself, but we're gonna sit on it. But this is just the beginning because there's a whole nother section to this that, like I told you earlier before your name is in room that your feet has not entered it yet, right? So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your vision. So those are my flowers to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
You're
sis.
welcome.
Thank you. Um, I would like to just give a shout out to my daughter because if I don't, I'm gonna hear about it in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
My daughter prom is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's so excited. And I'm also excited because this is my last pea in the pie.
Okay.
And my baby is graduating, y'all. So tomorrow I'm going to take off the business hat and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put the mommy hat on. And
Yes.
tomorrow is all about my baby. So shout out to Zayari
Okay,
on your
Sayuri.
graduation and your prom.
Yes. Congratulations, sweetheart.
Yes. So, sis, I just thank you so much for coming and having a conversation with me. We will have many more.
Of course.
We will have many, many more. But just thank you for opening your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit. The chat has been blowing up the entire time. So many comments I couldn't even keep up because I'm
Right,
focused on
right,
what
right.
you were saying, you know? Yes, so I just want to thank you. I really do. You will also be able to share this out to your platform. Well, it won't come down. It will be here. But this has been a powerful night.
Thank you. It really
Um,
has. It
it,
really.
it has been a powerful night. And let me just say, I know that Terrell and Taekwon are absolutely proud of their mother.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Well,
it.
till next time, you guys, this has been Let's Talk Grief. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Bye. Take me off the shelves.
I'm going to take you all. I'm going to take you all.
No, it's okay. I'm just like, hey.